Reyes, can you pick something blue and give it to me? Can you give it? I'm stuck. Can someone help him? Do you need help? Oh, okay.
Keiko, can you help me put on this dress?
Thank you. I don't know your name. Hi. Jean. Jean, can you find something red and give it to me?
Hello, hello. Yes. Thank you so much, Belinda. So you have a mic with you as well. Maybe you can unclip it. Is there? Can you try test?
Test.
Yes. Everybody can hear. So thank you so much, Belinda, for your sharing. So maybe you can let us know a little bit more about your piece. Very curious.
So actually it all started with, I saw the call for Work in Progress showing, and I just arrived in Singapore. And usually for me, arriving in Singapore comes with eating a lot. So I thought I better find a way to be moving while I'm here. So this is a perfect opportunity for me to be in the studio. And I thought for me, generally my personal practice, I'm on the floor a lot. And I wanted to find some kind of way to force myself to not be on the floor all the time, to not roll around on the floor and just slowly, which is generally my mode. And so I decided to think around the idea of running. And so I decided to name this investigation Run, but with a capital letter I behind the U, so with a parenthesis. So it reads ruin. So I'm running, but ruin. So I use that as just a way of holding me around the questions of what that means for me at this very specific moment in my life. Running, where am I running to? Who? Where am I running from? What am I running from? Where the ruins are. And the amount of scattered it is right now. The mess and the lack of coherence around an intention. So that's kind of really the impetus. Is like I start from this idea of running. I don't know where it's going to take me. And of course this past week, because this was a very recent sort of development over the past week and a half, so this past week I have personally been very consumed with the elections in the US because that's where I live usually. So for me, something about that needed to be present in the space. So I don't know if it's present for you, but it's present for me. And that's partially why I brought some objects in, because almost all of these objects belong to me or to someone in my family. And I made a concerted effort to choose the specific colors. One additional element is usually I don't consider my audience when I make something. When I perform, like I go with whatever the practice has been showing in some kind of way. But I was very aware this time of, because I invited my goddaughter and her brother and my friend, and I knew they were coming, I was very aware that for the very first time I actually considered as a big consideration of who is seeing this, how is it being received, which layers will be received, who is going to be able to stay engaged with it, who is and how and why. And for me, this is an interesting exercise because I don't do it. For most of my practice, I almost reject it. I almost reject considering the audience, and I consider what the curiosity is in that moment. So in this particular time, the curiosity is in audience engagement, specifically with the people that I did know were going to be here. So thank you for letting me try this out. To me, it's very special to be able to share this with the people that I've never been able to share it with.
If you have any question or any sharing, comment, don't need a question, anything also you can share with Belinda. Because I think audience is now a very essential part of her process. So the mic is in the middle. Okay, you go.
Okay, so I like how you're very interactive with the audience and that you tried something new to try and listen. And I think even the music is very engaging. So, what are your thoughts on the performance and how did you choose this music?
Yeah, thanks for asking. So I know that I needed a fast piece of music to get me going.
Okay.
So I relied on just mostly this time I relied on just really speed, on looking for the piece of music that was meter-wise, tempo-wise was already creating a very specific level of vibration in me. As when I listen it, like it starts to help me move my body faster. And I decided to not. So for me, usually that happens. I know that I can find that more easily with a classical piece of music because I can just search tempo. And I have been listening to this particular pianist recently, so that's why I picked his interpretation of this Bach piece. And I also wanted it to be short. I wanted it to be about a minute and a half. And honestly, I had a big, long list of music, and I didn't know which one I was going to use, and I just decided literally just before you all saw this. And that was dependent on how I felt I needed to start today, like what I needed today. If my energy level was very low, then I know I needed something to help me. And that's why I chose to start with that. And the second piece of music is actually, the song is actually sung in Farsi, which is a language from Iran. And right now, in terms of world events, there's, on top of all the things that are happening, also a lot of women are being, women's rights in Iran and their bodies are being extremely harmed, and a lot of control is trying to be put on them. So to me, I wanted that presence, the lyrics, I don't understand Farsi, but the translation of it spoke about prison walls, it spoke about being able to see outside, so there's a sense of enclosure and wishing for outsideness. But I chose to not include the lyrics parts in when they were playing, because even though in its absence it exists, so in the moments of absence of movement or sound, what are the things that continue to exist? They're still there. And yet the melody, I chose that specific piece for the evocativeness of the ambience of bringing us to this kind of funny place at the beginning to somewhere a little bit, to changing the mood a little bit different. So, but again, like that's kind of the rough idea why I chose these, whether or not if in the end I do make this some kind of different kind of performance, I don't know if I'll choose the same piece of music, but this helped me today.
All right. Anyone?
Thank you so much for the performance. Especially I was really could feel you just as you are. So that's beautiful, because I can see I can feel, I don't know, it's your or some anger, anxiety, and also like vulnerability and honesty and kind of faith to yourself. There are many like strength and weakness in terms of related to inside and outside, and it was very like tangible, and then really I could feel from your body and from your movement and from your emotion. And the music was really linked to your also emotion, and in a very intimate way. And then I felt a really appreciation. I can join your life process or your moments. Yeah, thank you so much.
I think the thing about being intimate, it's actually, I feel it adds a different dimensions to the performance, because like a lot of times we always look from afar. This one, you like what you said, you could really feel the movement, you can feel the emotions, and when you get closer, there's really a sense of sharing the kind of emotions that you have at that point with the audience. So I think it's a good thing that you brought it much closer to yourself.
I have one tiny question. Yeah. I love how they express it. Yeah, like they my tiny question is like, because this is intimate, but and maybe your idea was intimate. I just curiosity, like, what if today it turns out like there's 10 people? Like how do you will it be a bit more different? Because in your pre-plan you had a maybe like a, I don't know, a handful of people. But what if the outcome is, I'm just wondering, what was your plan B?
Thanks for asking. That's actually a very good question. I definitely considered it. And one possibility that I had said to myself was that I was going to have people be in two concentric circles, and this one will be even smaller. So then I will be in the middle and in that space between, and it would have been a little bit longer because it will allow me time to travel in and out. Part of the reason why I decided to go shorter, because I had 3 songs actually on the list, but I decided to make it shorter, was because it felt that, at least for me, honestly, today, that was the amount of time I could hold in myself and my attention and in my body. But if there were more people, I would have given myself more pauses, and the space in between here and here, this circle and the next circle, will give me more options to come in relation to this inside-outside, the tightness and a little bit of expansiveness, and being able to break out, and then when do you return? So yeah, that was the idea. And originally, actually, yesterday, I thought I was actually going to ask all of you to face outwards instead of inwards. So I changed that. And today, I decided to have your face inwards. And yesterday, I was going to start in the middle and then be out and then come back in the middle. So part of you, if you choose to not face me, you won't see what I'm doing. Then you have to choose to turn around to look at me or not. So that was yesterday, and today I was just like, I think this is where we are today.
Any last further comments, queries, or opinions, perhaps? No?
So one last question. Before the performance, I know you do planning, but roughly how long do you take to do the planning, and how do you choose what topic you want to do?
Thank you for asking. So it depends. Sometimes it depends on the deadline. So sometimes I know that I have a show in 1 year's time. And then it gives me different amounts of time to plan, even though I know that at the last minute I can still change all of my plans. But the fact that I've spent all this time thinking about what I'm doing for a long time changing the plan is already going to be dependent on all the work that I've done before, even if it's not going to look the same as what I originally planned. So that's in 1 year. So for this specific time, I only knew that I was going to do this 1.5 weeks ago. And Ice and Xiaojie allowed me to have this, to come to this space to practice. Almost every day I could come here and practice. But in this space, I practice mostly knowing what is here, what it feels like, where the light is coming from, being comfortable with the floor, being comfortable with myself, just being able to move around. Sometimes I can stand on one leg, some days cannot. Some days I can jump, some days cannot. So those times that practice and getting ready is mostly getting my body ready, understanding what my body can do now in these 2 weeks.